Hey there, my fellow Hyperboreans. As I promised, this is going to be a little bit of a Q&A, although I didn't get that many new questions on the post, which in hindsight I recognize that a lot of people might not have seen because YouTube does things in a way that I cannot accurately describe. That said, I am going to also be tackling a couple of questions that I've seen in comments before. Some of them I've already answered in those comments, but I figured I might as well do a video addressing some of them, since I don't think everyone that watches all of my videos is also just scrolling through every single comment. I mean, I appreciate the lot of you that do that, but I recognize it's not that many. I'm also doing this recording a little bit more off the cuff, and I just have screenshots of the questions in front of me, and I'm just gonna speed run through them pretty much. But yeah, let's go. Flaming Onions asks, out of all the Content Cop characters, Pisces, Gatorpoon, etc., who was your favorite? Now, you used the word was here, and I can say that my favorite was Caffeine before I had the, wonderful discovery of all the shit he's done and how he is the antithesis to the whole self-made entrepreneur thing that he touted all the time in his videos. Because I did really initially feel like, hey, there was like a genuine growth there and talent and everything. But yeah, obviously, like, looking at it now, I can't say that I appreciate him as much as I do. As such, I am a fan of Gator, in part because he's come out and interacted in return, and he did his little skit for the Dayron video for me, which I greatly appreciate. But honestly, my favorite might be Pisces. With the rest of them, there are either points where I'm like, okay, this person is literally just a fucking asshole, like with Lucic, or that, parts of their story aren't really that interesting. They're not that interesting on a personal level, like Dayron. As funny as, the whole iDubbbz' interaction with Dayron was, as a person, he's just very normal, just a regular dude. With Pisces, I greatly appreciate how every single thing that Pisces writes and every single thing he says is fucking iconic. Like, he unintentionally, or sometimes I'm sure intentionally, writes and says the most ludicrous, amazing shit in the world. He exists like at the peak of the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Like, he just knows a little bit about what he's talking about, but he's talking about it as if he was the leading expert on everything related to technology and fish and Phoenix magic, and I love him for that. Zoaf writes in, I admire your stuff and I think your channel's headed for good. Hey, thanks, man. How long is the editing process for one of these longer videos, and what software do you use? The process for making one of these videos, if I just sit down and do it start to finish, isn't very long. I can literally pump it out in less than a week if that is the only thing I'm really working on. Like, the editing process, once I sit down and focus on it more, takes about 3 to 4 days, where each day I do about between 4 and 6 hours of editing normally. But I get burned out from doing that, and even in the videos I have published, you can notice there are parts where there's a lot less effort put into the editing, and that's just a result of me, leaning towards the end of the day as I'm editing and being like, okay, I just need to make a little bit more progress so I can feel better about it, about how much I have left to do tomorrow. And that's why there's a gap between videos. It's not just, that I have other stuff to do, which I do, especially with uni coming up, but there is a certain aspect to it where I feel like if I force myself to sit down and edit it in one or a couple of sittings or something, or do the research in just a couple of sittings, or even just record the audio in a single sitting, the end result is going to suffer from it. And And it's going to suffer from it because I'm suffering through it, which is really the main reason where I find myself taking breaks. And as for software, I do basically just use Premiere Pro, and then for the little funny edits, I use GIMP, because I'm not getting Photoshop as well. Adobe has, it takes enough of my money every month just with Premiere, so... Jacob Hack wrote in and said, "Please do not do the mistake of thinking that you owe us, your audience, anything. You and the audience are in it together, building the channel together. You make videos, we watch and interact, your channel grows thanks to the audience, and the audience have content to consume. Take the time needed to make and finish a project, don't worry about upload schedule." This is in response to like how my post mentioned that I feel like I do owe you guys a little bit more content. And like, I of course, I understand where this is coming from, and I appreciate it, but I do sort of feel like I should put out more on, not just because I owe my audience something, which I kind of do, specifically to two of my friends who have subscribed to my Patreon, which I greatly appreciate, and just in general for people who always show up early to watch my content, and who I always see in my comments. I love seeing the same faces and recognizing people there. I don't just think I owe it to, my audience necessarily, I owe it to myself, because this content I want to make it's stuff I do want to work on, stuff I do want to make, and I do want to grow my channel and everything, and, I need to be a bit more active than I am to do that, and I do feel like I should start remedying that a little bit more. Again, it's going to be a lot easier after I'm done with uni. Like I said, it doesn't take, if I sit down and work on things, it doesn't take as long, even if I do get burnout, even if I do have to take breaks. So I feel like I should be putting a little bit more content out there than I currently do, and hopefully it's going to change in the future. Bromine Lover wrote in and said, "I'm going to be honest with you, the only reason I watch your stuff is because you're Latvian. I'm not Latvian, but I love Latvia, and you're the only Latvian YouTuber that speaks English that I could find. Can you please confirm that you're actually Latvian?" Yes. Yeah, es esmu Latvijas. I don't know how I can confirm that. Should I get my passport? I don't. And we've run out of questions that were actually asked on the post, so I'm just going to go through a couple of that I've seen in my comments before that I might as well address. This one's a short one from Franz Pattinson on the Coolest Cooler video. Why do you use apostrophes instead of commas in your numbers? Maybe you're confusing them for GPS coordinates. I saw this comment as well when I posted it on, I believe, Shitty Kickstarters on Reddit. I don't know how it's across Europe. I tried looking it up and it's very weird and confusing. There's differences between different countries, and there's differences between how you write it in handwriting and how you write it in digital media. And for the most part in Latvia, as far as I can see, we don't use any sort of indication when you're writing these numbers. Digitally, you don't use anything to separate the thousands. But in handwriting, as I was taught from first grade, we do use these sort of apostrophe symbols to separate the thousands. And that's just sort of what I've stuck with and what I've been using digitally as well. Is it correct? No. Is it objectively, probably, according to myself, the best option? Because people are like, oh no, you need to use commas, you need to use dots, but some people use dots or commas for decimals instead. Nobody's using apostrophes or decimals, ergo, apostrophes for the fucking win. From Rawl Trashlord, what is your Ransona based on? Sydney from Payday 2, as I answered in the comment reply, my Ransona, or as I prefer to call it, the little dude, is based on Kazuichi Soda from Danganronpa. It's a little character drawn for me by my friend who on Reddit goes by r/TossawayCog. It's a trend in our friend group where people draw these little characters, little dudes of characters, and at some point I had requested if my friend could do Kazuichi, and when I started the YouTube channel, I was looking for a profile picture, and that was the one that I decided to use. And after that, in the second video, I thought, well, I could actually use this as an on-screen character, and that's where that sort of started, and it's not a very interesting story, but it is true. From Dana Fly, has anyone confirmed if Bobby did actually die of suicide or was it made up? And here's the thing, I have no way to confirm this or deny it. I don't know what Bobby's real name was, I don't know exactly when he died, it's very confusing to even find exact dates of when Lusick was in New York, where he says Bobby had committed suicide. But my personal take on this is that he's probably telling the truth about this, because if Bobby had somehow just left him and just decided that this was not gonna work out and he needs to leave Lusick on his own devices, I feel like Lusick would not hesitate to bring that shit up and to talk a bunch of crap about Bobby because of that, but instead, he has been this sort of, especially in the streams, he has this weird energy where, he clearly seems to think or know that Bobby has died, but he's still, vaguely not accepting it, or just, pretending that he has secondhand information on it, and it's strange, there's no way to confirm it, but I do think this was true. Question from N1. How do you do your anims and what editing software do you use? Again, Premiere, but as I've said in the replies, the little animations I do with the little dude are very, very easy to do. In Premiere, I literally just adjust the position and anchor points and rotation on the image, and it just sort of goes swish swoosh across the screen. It's not very complicated at all. And that would be that. There were a couple of other questions that I had answered before, a couple of other things I've commented on, but nothing that really needs addressing in a video. Some of these didn't need addressing in a video, but I addressed them anyways. Fuck you. But also, I do want to give a little bit of an update on things I'm working on in the future. Like I've said, I am continuing the Kickstarter crap series, and that's going to probably be the next video as well. Although it's going to deviate slightly from the deep dive formula so far. It's going to address something more tangentially related to one of these projects, one of these characters that I've covered in a previous video. I'm not going to give away precisely what that's going to be yet, but I do have a couple of hints if you can figure them out in the Dayron video. I am still working on the bigger project I mentioned before that strays away from the Kickstarter crap deep dives and actually tackles a subject related to what I'm studying, which is history, and I have a couple of video ideas in that series as well, which are going to be projects on par or perhaps even more intense than the deep dives, which is why I'm not entirely focusing on them at this point. I'm sort of doing them in parallel with everything else. But I also do have plans for some less intensely edited projects. I basically have to accept at this point that I am, and may Allah forgive me for uttering this word, a video essayist. And as such, we'll be making content like that, but that is going to be going on my second channel, Walter K2, so feel free to go subscribe to that. Currently the only video there is me drinking pilk, which is, that is what it is. And I'm also going to be doing a little bit of a series in the future with some of my friends. There's going to be a gaming series that I'm not going to disclose any details on yet, but that is also going to be going on the second channel, and on my friends' channels, that's going to be the updates from me, and hopefully you'll be seeing the Kickstarter crap video in the coming month or so. I'm not going to give an exact time frame here, and I'm not going to promise that it's going to be coming in the next month, but I'm just hoping that it will. That's the end of the video. Yeet.